Talks continue, but we're not there yet.
And during the visit, President Biden announced an additional $200 million in military aid and a package to Ukraine. It will be weapons and equipment taken from the Pentagon's stockpiles. But as the deadlock continues with Biden's $110 billion national security aid package, questions remain whether the House is heading home for the holidays or working to get this bill passed before doing so. Joining me now, Alex Gangitano, White House correspondent from our partners at The Hill. Alex, great to see you. So who blinks first? We have 12 days until Christmas, 19 until the new year. Do you think a deal gets done before this holiday recess?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So right now, with these tight deadlines before the holidays, I think we're going to see the White House want to work more with Senate Republicans. It really comes down to those two groups. If Republicans are saying at this point that if the president wants to get some $60 billion for Ukraine, then he has to work with them to agree on border security reforms. I think the White House is going to be the one that blinks and agrees to step up their engagement. Of course, for some immigration advocates, some Democrats in Congress, that's not great news, though, because that would potentially lead to the White House, caving on some of these immigration reforms that Republicans have been pushing that Democrats don't want to see because they'd be harsher towards immigrants coming into this country. So it would be a tough call for the White House in terms of support from Democrats, but they would get their wish, which is more money for Ukraine.
Right. So let's talk about what the compromise might be. First, here's the president on a compromise at the border.
Compromise is how democracy works, and I'm ready and offered compromise already. Holding Ukraine funding hostage in the attempt to force through an extreme Republican partisan agenda on the border is not how it works.
So based on what Republicans want and what Democrats want, what do you think, where do you see the most likely spot to bend?
Yeah, that's a great question. Republicans want to see this reform that would substantially reduce the influx of migrants coming into the country. Meanwhile, Democrats are looking for reforms, of course, that wouldn't look like Trump-era immigration policies and would be more lenient towards migrants wanting to come into the U.S. I think the issue also is that we're going into an election year. The president is dealing with an influx of migrants at the border, and he's getting blamed for it. So that's another reason why I think that they're going to be the ones to cave here, because it would benefit him politically for Republicans, for moderates, for maybe independent voters, if they can curb the influx of migrants. They've been struggling with trying to figure out what to do at the border, and maybe going with the Senate Republicans deal and using this aid to Ukraine as the reason why they did it could help them politically in the future.
What about Israel? How does that play into all of this and continued funding for Israel?
Right. So that's, of course, such a hot button issue in the Democratic Party right now. We're seeing a lot of young voters, especially, not agreeing with the president's pro-Israel stance. He's standing firm that he wants to support Israel's military in their fight against Hamas. Republicans are siding with them, and Democrats in Congress are somewhat split, most like the Democratic Party nationally. So originally, the White House put out this big supplemental funding bill that would give money to Ukraine, Israel, Indo-Pacific, and the border. They said they haven't regretted tying all those things together. Well, tying it together is also the reason why we're here, and we're, having this conversation about border security and holding up aid to Ukraine. So if they can figure out those two factions, I think they can then figure out how to get some more money to Israel and an aid package there too. But I do think Ukraine and the border are the first step.
We'll see if the White House does, in fact, as you say, blink first. Alex Gangitano with The Hill. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.